So what I'm showing you here is two holes that I drilled into through the sole plate and into the crawl space down below. And one of those holes is a mistake hole, and I'll talk a little bit about why that's a mistake hole. So the mistake hole is this one here. And how that all happened was that behind me there's a heat vent which is it's about 3 feet away. And so I got down the crawl space, looked around, oriented myself, and said, okay, I think that's where I'm going to go ahead and drill. The problem was when I drilled right there in that particular spot, it was right in the top of some blocking in the floor down there. So that hole is basically useless. So I came back upstairs and I remembered that I had read something in a book about drilling a small hole in the subfloor down into a crawl space area. So like a 1/8 of an inch bit hole, which is right there. And then you feed like a piece of wire or something down there so you can find out, figure out where you are. And so I did that, and that actually worked. I found the wire downstairs or down in the crawl space, and that kind of told me where I was in relationship to the blocking down there. And from there I did some measurements and figured out that I could drill about a 1/4 inch from the edge of this sole plate, and using this bit, this is a spade bit, 3/4 of an inch spade bit. And so I did that and actually went all the way through the blocking and the subfloor and into the crawl space. So I got my hole now to run my wire. So just kind of a thing to remember is if you're doing things like this where you're drilling, you're trying to orient yourself, you're trying to be in two places at one time, it's best to do something like that, make a small pilot hole, and then try to, after that, go down in that area and figure out where you are at first. So I did that. So the next step is to go into the garage and figure out exactly where I need to drill from the garage into the crawl space and then run my wire down there. I was just down in the crawl space a minute ago and looking around just to figure out where all the gas lines were and figure out where all the electrical lines or any other electrical lines down there, or any copper lines or anything down there that might be in my way, and just kind of plan out exactly how I'm going to run the wire down there. I'm going to have to use a combination of running boards, it looks like, and drilling through the floor joist. So I thought I'd just be able to use running boards for the most part, but it looks like some of the copper lines actually run, they run on the bottom of some of the floor joists down there, so I have to figure out how to get around those, but that shouldn't be too hard. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Okay, so what you're looking at here is there's a piece of drywall right below the panel there. And so the right portion of the drywall is screwed into that stud. So that's where that one stud is, on the right hand side over there. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to make a cut along the bottom part down there. It's going to make a horizontal cut and then cut this way, a vertical cut, just so I can see a little bit more in the wall. So that's my next step here. I want to try to avoid the corners as much as I can. Really, in this basement, the tape job they did on the drywall, anyway, it doesn't really matter because it's terrible. So if I end up cutting into the corner, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to have to redo this at some point later on down the road anyway. So what I'm doing, I'm measuring, I think it's probably about, I don't know, about 6 inches, 7 inches from the bottom, from the floor here. I'm just going to draw a horizontal line first of all. We'll do that first. Let's go 6 inches. And just going to draw a line here. Make sure it's level. That's about right there. Okay. And then in relationship to the box and to the studs here, looks like one stud runs down this way, so I'm going to draw another line here so that when I do have to put this back together, I'll be right on the stud. And I want to make sure this is a plumb line too. And move it over just slightly here. Okay. Okay, that didn't draw very well. Okay, so now I got that line finally drawn. So this line here, the vertical line, is right on the stud that runs down this wall here. And then the other one I'm just going to cut all the way across. And try to figure out where the other stud is here. Well, this old stud finder that I had, I'm not really confident in the way it works, but I'll use it anyway, see if I can at least get an idea here. Okay, so there's one. I know where that one is already. Okay, so the corner stud's right in this area here. Alright. So my thought is I want to drill, I want to take off enough to where I can get to that next stud over. I may not be able to get my drill in there, but I have a longer bit, so I may be able to go through. It's going to be challenging. We'll see how we can do this here. But my thought was, first of all, but since I can't get my drill in there, I was going to go with the long bit straight through here and through that wall over there. So we'll have to see how this is going to go here. So what I'm going to do first of all is just go ahead and cut drywall. Yeah, we'll do that first. There's insulation behind her too, so I want to be careful that I don't tear that too much. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that's out. So what my plan is to do is to fish the wire. I'm going to actually, obviously I'm going into the crawl space, but I want to fish the wire back through these studs and then up the wall, up this way. So let's see here. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make a small pilot hole into the crawl space just so I can see where the heck I am in there. I don't want to start drilling a big giant hole and run into something and regret doing that. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I got a small hole drilled there.